prepared for your signature today relates to federal permitting for data center infrastructure. As you mentioned during your speech, this is a crucial issue affecting the entire AI industry. What this executive order will do is establish fast-track permitting and ensure that the federal government is working to get data centers approved and through the permitting pipeline as quickly as possible. As you said before, sir, it's absolutely essential that American AI models and the American AI industry dominates the future of this industry around the world. What this next executive order will do is promote, through various instrumentalities of the federal government, the export abroad of American AI models to ensure American AI dominance in the future. We don't want woke AI. We want AI models based on accurate information that give accurate information and accurate answers. This executive order will ensure that when the federal government procures or promotes different AI models, that those AI models are ideologically neutral, that they don't embrace wokeism and critical race theory and all of these terrible theories that have done so much damage to our country.
That was President Trump yesterday signing 3 executive orders to boost AI advancement in America. No one can deny it. The world is, as we speak, undergoing the second industrial revolution. Our lives, our children's, and our grandchildren will never be the same, all thanks to the revolution that is artificial intelligence. But it does have some downsides. The measure of the next world power, of course, will rest squarely on the answer to this question. Who will be the AI leader in the world? Trump demands America be that leader. So on Wednesday, the Trump administration announced a sweeping plan to accelerate America's dominance in artificial intelligence. The 28-page AI action plan aims to fast-track data center construction, loosen federal rules, and promote open-source AI tools. In the administration's words, America will do whatever it takes to lead the world in AI development.
Without question, the most brilliant place anywhere on earth. America is the country that started the AI race. And as President of the United States, I'm here today to declare that America is going to win it. We're going to work hard. We're going to win it.
A piece from the New York Times reports the plan opens the door for companies to develop the technology unfettered from oversight and safeguards. The administration insists the priority is removing ideological bias from AI models and stopping China from dominating the sector, touting it as the right move to unleash American innovation. Opponents, including labor unions and privacy advocates, warn it could trigger an AI arms race and roll back hard-won safety protocols. So to help sort some of this out, joining us now, President of Government Affairs at AI Policy Network and former Pentagon AI Policy Director Mark Beall. Mark, thank you so much for joining us.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Your thoughts initially on the 28-page memo that was released yesterday, and what does it mean to say that this is all unfettered from oversight, in the words of New York Times?
I think reading that document, it's clear to me that whoever wrote it has a deep and profound grasp of the issue at stake. It is an excellent document overall. It is a serious attempt to ensure that the United States wins. And when I read the action plan, I actually see a lot of indications that they're being thoughtful on things like safeguards. Let me give a couple examples. On the labor front, there's lots of discussion on workers, and then there's actually a requirement now for the Department of Labor to start tracking AI-enabled job losses. That's a big, important guardrail, and that's going to inform any future decisions on that.
How many jobs have been lost because of AI in the United States?
It's tough to count, but our group has done some kind of back-of-the-napkin math, and we are counting about 300,000 jobs lost to AI so far this year, and then some additional amount of unemployed recent college graduates, which we understand to be like one of the highest unemployment rates that there is right now, is also a result of AI. And so I think the labor
hardest hit, by the way.
It seems like software engineering and marketing are like the biggest hit so far. And again, these are the companies that are like sort of saying this out in the open, and
sure.
But it's very difficult to measure, and that's why I'm pretty excited that the administration wants the Department of Labor to start to get its arms around this, because they did campaign on jobs. Jobs is a really important thing for the future. And of course, we're not going to go back and pretend like this AI revolution's not here to stay. At the same time, we have to be clear-eyed about what the issues are.
Yeah.
And the other thing I thought that was really good was a deep discussion of what scientists call AI interpretability and control. And so this is that underlying field of science that tries to articulate how it is that these AI systems actually work and how they reason internally in an effort to try to steer them in the right direction.
So this is the bias that the Trump administration is worried
It's
about.
certainly part bias. It's part some of the weird behaviors that folks may have seen. So for example, one recent model was given, in a fictional scenario, was given information that its engineer was having an affair. And then the AI tried to blackmail that engineer.
Yes, I saw
and,
that.
You know, that's a pretty unusual behavior for a tool. You know, if you have a screwdriver, you want to put it back in the toolbox. It usually goes back in the toolbox.
Don't
That seems a
expect
little
it to
different.
jump out and threaten you.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. So that interpretability research is going to be absolutely foundational for accelerating American innovation. And then the last thing I was really encouraged about was a deep discussion on AI evaluations. And so, you know, having government scientists work with industry to understand whether or not these systems actually pose meaningful national security threats. So whether they be about nuclear weapons enablement or cyber weapon enablement or some of these loss of control scenarios, putting those mechanisms in place is going to be the thing that the administration will need to pivot quickly if, in fact, we find out that the situation becomes a little more dangerous than we thought.
Interesting. So where are we in the AI race against China?
You know, in my assessment, there's not just one race here. There's probably two. So in the first race, this is the race that we all kind of know and understand. This is the race for commercial and military dominance. And right now, the United States has a lead, but not a comfortable lead. And we have to think very hard about the types of security mechanisms and the types of decisions around export controls that we want to make, because unfortunately right now, China is closing the lead, not only because they're quite innovative in and of themselves, but they're taking our stuff, or in some cases they're buying our stuff lawfully.
Right.
And this is prompting a very difficult decision about the types of strategies we need to do. But this is kind of like your typical great power competition. So this is like an ancient board. And pieces are new, but it's an ancient board. But then there's this other race, and it's something that you and I have talked about. This is the race towards superintelligence. This is that type of the AI that's right now is not yet here, but it could be on the near-term horizon. And so when the administration talks about this idea of AI control, we really need to be able to understand these systems so that we can control an AI system that becomes vastly more intelligent than we are. And then right now, neither the United States nor China can do that. And so that presents a pretty dangerous international situation.
I watch Space Odyssey at least once a year.
Of course.
And of course, every single year becomes even more relevant, right? How the computer takes over, and amazing that the film was made over 40 years ago, 50 years ago now, right? Stanley Kubrick. But we are quickly getting to a scenario where Hal is here, and we are talking to Hal. And Hal right now hasn't truly taken off and revolutionized, or like taken arms against humanity, but we are moving way faster towards that scenario than anyone's, I guess, comfortable to admit, aren't we?
I think so. If you look at the divide between how people in Silicon Valley who are building this technology are talking, and then you look at how people in Washington are talking, you'll notice this chasm, and it's like quite alarming. And I think more and more, I think folks are beginning to kind of come to the realization that we might not actually be in the realm of science fiction. Like the kind of future is here, and even the president alluded to that in his speech yesterday. And that's why I was particularly encouraged by some of the elements of the action plan that, again, put those things in place, those guardrails in place, at least the kind of analysis in place that could trigger an alert that says, hey, this is dangerous, we need to make a different choice.
We've talked about this also before, and this is an ongoing debate in this field, but this tension between those guardrails, safe guardrails, and the challenge of putting too many guardrails so that you hinder the development here. And then, of course, the bad guys end up developing it without hindrance. So that tension, where are we now? Yes, there's a chasm between lawmakers and big tech, but it seems like that's kind of closing.
You know, it's interesting. The discussions about AI in the context of the big, beautiful bill, I think were quite instructive.
Yes.
And, you know, of course, people may remember that the House of Representatives sought to impose a 10-year moratorium on state regulation. And then that didn't work, and the Senate tried to impose a less five-year or so a state moratorium, but only contingent upon their states accepting funds around broadband. And of course, that was a little strange to me because that would have ended up hurting red states way more than blue states. States like Alabama and Arkansas, who need broadband funding, would have been blocked from doing smart regulations, versus California and New York, who don't really need the money and have $320 billion budgets, would have gone for it anyway. But this new executive order tries, I think, walk a fine line on that.
Okay.
And even the president said yesterday, he's like, we don't want states regulating 50 different regulations across the country. That will have a negative effect on industry, but we will have to have federal guardrails. And so I think this is going to become the question. And so that executive order says, states may be blocked from certain types of funding for unduly burdensome regulations. Of course, we don't know quite exactly what that means. But I think, as long as I think states are not focused on like the DEI and woke regulatory kinds of schemes, and they're focused on consumer protection and child safety,
sure,
and protecting image and likeness for content creators like musicians in Tennessee, I think it's going to have a good way forward here. And I'm excited about the negotiation that will inevitably happen now as a result of the president weighing in and saying there will be federal guardrails.
Such a fascinating field, and always an illuminating conversation with you, Mark Beall. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for having me.
Coming up, Bobby Sausalito plays Headline Roulette. You won't want to miss this. We'll be right back.